Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Say what? Say what? Say what? One more time.
We kick things off with our signature segment, Say What, where we roll out a virtual assembly line of wacky, astonishing, damnable, and ultimately revealing things uttered by politicians and the chattering class. After the 2016 election, Republicans danced a bit on the grave of Hillary Clinton, but mostly rejoiced in the election of Donald Trump. The 2020 election, which should have been a cause for celebration for Democrats who captured not only the White House, but maintained a tenuous control of the House and seized power in the Senate. But instead of being overjoyed at taking down the evil orange man, they remain angry and have tried to play whack-a-mole by viciously kneecapping any Republican who might try to pop up and follow Trump in 2024. They're doing it to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, victim of a libelous hit piece on TV's 60 Minutes. And now, you want to know how bad it's gotten on the emboldened but still bitter and know nothing left? Here's how bad. Rising star and black Republican Senator Tim Scott, descendant of slaves, after delivering the response to Joe Biden's quasi-State of the Union address in which he said America is not a racist nation, was lectured on race by daytime chat-up host Joy Behar of The View.
Tim Scott, he does not seem to understand, and a lot of them don't seem to understand, the difference between a racist country and a systemic racism. They don't seem to get the difference. Yes, maybe it's not a racist country. Maybe Americans, the majority, are not racist. But we live in a country with systemic racism.
You know, I never did figure out why a complete unfunny zero like Joy Behar seems to captivate women across the country. Perhaps it unfortunately says more about the country than even the rank absurdity of Joy Behar lecturing anyone on racism. But then there's the anchors on MSNBC accusing any white person who doesn't believe in the New York Times 1619 Project and its central conclusion that America was founded for the express purpose of furthering slavery and is thus irredeemable, of automatically being racist. MSNBC weekend anchor Tiffany Cross lined up to take her own pot shots at the South Carolina senator.
This week, the sole black Republican in the Senate sounded a stone fool when he said this.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
Okay, let's be clear. Tim Scott does not represent any constituency other than the small number of sleepy, slow-witted sufferers of Stockholm Syndrome who get elevated to prominence for repeating a false narrative about this country that makes conservative white people feel comfortable.
That woman went on to say Tim Scott should be called Uncle Tim because he's not down with the racial grievances of the progressive left. Then there's MSNBC's infamous Joy Reid saying any white person who still believes the false narrative about the country perpetrated over the last, almost 250 years is, of course, a racist.
Thanks to the New York Times' seminal 1619 Project, which traces the consequences of slavery from its inception centuries ago to its modern-day implications for black Americans, we've seen a growing movement to reframe how American history is taught in public schools. Well, some parents who are opposed to critical race theory as new curriculum aren't too pleased.
Just because I do not want critical race theory taught to my children in school does not mean that I'm a racist, damn it.
Actually, it does.
Actually, it does. Yes, if you don't believe critical race theory, that the country was founded for the express purpose of establishing a new beachhead for slavery, then you, my friend, are a racist, and you don't even know it. Meanwhile, we might as well call the vice president Root Cause Kamala, because after being put in charge of the Biden border crisis, instead of trying to fix the problem here, she speaks of trying to get to the root causes of the problem in their countries as she emphasized this week in what was billed as an important address on foreign relations by the vice president.
We are all well aware of the immediate situation. The citizens of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras are leaving their homes at alarming rates. They leave only when they feel they must. We want to pick back up the kind of work President Joe Biden started when he was vice president. And so we are focused on addressing both the acute factors and the root causes of migration: corruption, violence, and poverty.
Raise your hand if you think Kamala Harris can fix or even affect corruption, violence, and poverty in Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Yeah, I thought so. She has yet to even visit the border in the 100-plus days of the Biden administration, likely because doing so would only draw attention to a crisis the Biden-friendly media is all too happy to keep on the down low. At the same time, the Republican Party, in a position to benefit from the overwoking of America by the Democrats, are in the throes of an intra-party war as they prepare for the midterms next year, needing to pick up only 4 seats to gain control of the House and 1 in the Senate. After the third-ranking House Republican Liz Cheney voted to impeach then-President Trump and then doubled down with her words, she was met with a torrent of attacks from Trump's supporters, leading to a schism that threatens to split the party in two. And this week, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy was caught on a hot mic discussing Cheney.
I think she's got real problems. I've had it with her. It's, I've lost confidence.
The edited audio, which does not include the questions, a clear sign the Wyoming Congresswoman's days in House leadership are numbered.
Well, someone just has to bring emotion, but I assume that will probably take place.
Liz Cheney is receiving aid and comfort on the Senate side from Mitt Romney, who, of course, is a declared enemy of President Trump, and by inference, the people who support him. But much of the attention in national politics is actually turning to California, where Governor Gavin Newsom is facing a recall election next month. A number of Republicans are lined up to try and take his place. And the most intriguing of all has to be Caitlyn Jenner, the famed former man and one-time Olympic decathlon champion, running as, of all things, a transgender conservative who released her first campaign ad this week decrying the state of things in California.
We had what everyone else wanted. The American dream grew up here. Yet career politicians and their policies have destroyed that dream. It's been locked away, closed, shuttered, left in the dark, burned down. The government is now involved in every part of our lives. They've taken our money, our jobs, and our freedom. California needs a disruptor, a compassionate disruptor.
Now that is a catchphrase, a compassionate disruptor. Are we talking Trump without the bombast? Finally, in the category of what I guess you would call a hatchet job on an enemy or rival, couched as only a politician can do by good news, the embattled mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, who's had a very open feud with Governor and fellow Democrat Andrew Cuomo, announced on Monday that Cuomo should call it quits, but then followed it up with good news for all Americans.
He should resign. He can't continue to lead. Nursing home scandal, sexual harassment and assault scandal, using his staff to write his book. I mean, it doesn't end. He just has to go. Our plan is to fully reopen New York City on July 1st. We are ready for stores to open, for businesses to open, offices, theaters, full strength. Because look, what we're seeing is people have gotten vaccinated in extraordinary numbers, 6.3 million vaccinations in New York City.
And over 200 million vaccinations across the nation to date. But if you're like me, I bet you felt more than a few times over the last year plus that we might never see the country open again. But if they can make it happen in New York, as the song goes, they can make it happen anywhere.
Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza, and this is Liberty Nation's.
Now let's take a look at the LibertyNation.com electoral leaderboard. It's still 238 for Joe Biden.
What if stories and legends can offer us the key to unraveling the hottest political issues of the day and apply their lessons to understanding the chaos of modern politics?
Impeach 45!
Only where freedom of speech is honored can people who look, sound, or think differently be truly free.
If you're discussing something that's difficult, the probability that you're not going to offend each other is zero.
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump is now president.
With one click, Liberty Nation delivers tomorrow's news.
And remember, liberty.
Today.
All the time and everywhere.
LibertyNation.com